Nightly News is next, and tonight Lester Holt has extensive coverage of yesterday's attacks.
Breaking news tonight, an act of war. France vows revenge as ISIS says it was behind the shocking wave of attacks in Paris as authorities across America step up security. In Paris, new video of the shootout between police and the terrorists. Amid a staggering toll of dead and injured, a young American woman is among those killed. We piece together the 30 minutes of sheer terror from the soccer stadium to the restaurants and an astonishing story of survival from a woman who played dead for an hour inside the rock concert as so many hostages were massacred. Tonight, a worldwide manhunt amid the soul-searching over why intelligence agencies didn't see it coming. And now the world stands in solidarity with a wounded and grieving nation. Nightly News begins right now.
Terror in Paris. This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening to our West Coast viewers. In Paris tonight, shock and grief, blame, and a promise of retribution. It's been a day of fast-moving developments, and for the first time, we're seeing video of the gun battle that helped end the deadly siege at a concert hall. Police shooting it out with terrorists in the streets of Paris. The death toll from Friday's attacks is at least 129. So many of the dead are young people, including an American design student. The number of injured is over 300, many of them critically hurt. ISIS now says it carried out the assault, striking in 6 locations, and France's president agrees it was them, vowing to hit back. We know 7 attackers are dead, but the question remains this evening, how many others may have been involved? We have it all covered. Our chief global correspondent, Bill Neely, leads us off.
It is an act of war, said France's president today, after a night of horror, of mass murder, massacre after massacre, not seen in Paris since World War II. And it looked like war. Bodies on the streets, terror in the air. ISIS claiming it today, warning of more to follow a night that began so differently. Live soccer, France against Germany, millions watching on TV, when suddenly an explosion heard across France. A trail of terror had started. From the National Stadium, targeted by 3 suicide bombers, to bars and restaurants where dozens died, 19 in one alone, to the concert hall where 89 were killed. It all took less than 30 minutes. 9:20, after the first explosion at the soccer match, the French president was evacuated. When the fans left, they defiantly sang the French national anthem.
2 of the suicide bombers blew themselves up just over here while fans were drinking during the game. The big question is why the bombers didn't attack earlier when 80,000 people were pouring into this stadium a half hour earlier.
One suicide bomber tried to get through with a ticket, one report said, but was stopped, then blew himself up. 9:25, and outside a city centre restaurant, carnage. It's where Charlotte Brayo thought she would die.
All of a sudden there were huge gunshots. It sounded like fireworks, just like bang, 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 bang through the window.
9:36, another attack at a bar where those 19 people were killed, sprayed with gunfire. Then 4 minutes later, terrible scenes nearby. Gunmen stormed a rock concert by the American band Eagles of Death Metal. Young people shot fleeing, stepping over bodies on the ground. One woman clinging to a window ledge, a badly injured man being dragged away. Inside, Julian Pierce played dead, then ran for his life.
They were not stopping. I mean, they were refueling the guns, they were reloading the guns, and they were very heavily armed. And what struck me when I looked to one of the terrorists was how young he was.
We spoke to Helen Wilson from New Orleans, who was injured and cradled her dying friend. She says the gunman deliberately targeted people in wheelchairs who were near the stage. Dozens escaped onto the roof and were rescued. French SWAT teams finally storming the hall. 2 gunmen blowing themselves up, a third shot and killed.
And this may not be over. ISIS said there were 8 gunmen, 7 are dead. Police here now hunting that 8th man and any other possible accomplices. President Hollande is vowing revenge on ISIS. France, he says, will be merciless. This is a city and a country braced for more trauma. Lester?
All right, Bill Neely, thanks. NBC News has learned the name of 2 of the 7 terrorists who were killed, and we have new information on the clues they left behind. Some told in chilling detail from survivors, like one woman we spoke with who hid under a dead body for over an hour as the carnage unfolded. NBC's chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel went to meet her.
Much of what is known about the men who carried out yesterday's massacre has come from survivors. We met one of them today, mother of 2, Teresa Seed. She had gone to see a rock concert and found herself at a shooting gallery.
They rushed in shooting, screaming, and just, it was just shooting automatic and like single shots into the crowd.
To survive, she hid under a body.
I was next to a guy that got shot in the head that fell on me, so I was covered underneath his body.
And then did you pretend to be dead?
Yes.
Were you covered in blood?
Yes.
For an hour and a half, she listened to the killers.
Could you hear what they were shouting?
They said at the very beginning something, they mentioned Syria.
The gunmen spoke French, but said they were doing it for Syria. Syria, of course, is where ISIS has declared its Islamic State, and France is a member of the coalition that's been bombing it. In a statement today, ISIS said the attack was revenge. Let France and all the nations following its path know that they will continue to be at the top of the target list for the Islamic State, and that the scent of death will not leave their nostrils as long as they partake in this crusader campaign, the statement read. ISIS has now gone far beyond its Middle East strongholds and delivered a complex attack in the heart of Europe.
Paris, the most beautiful city on the face of the earth, completely put into chaotic disarray by 7 individual attackers with simple automatic weapons, hand grenades, and suicide vests. It just shows the complexity of the threat we face.
A French prosecutor said today 7 attackers are dead. They all wore vests with explosives, and at least one has been partially named by authorities. Ismail M., French, born 1985, known to authorities, but with no record of terrorist activities. A Syrian passport for Abdul Abak B was found near another terrorist. A Greek official said the passport was registered last month on a Greek island, part of the refugee route from Turkey. A U.S. counterterrorism official told NBC News it could take days or weeks before the identities and, crucially, the affiliations of the attackers can be traced.
And already some of those connections are being investigated. Today, French police arrested the father and brother of one of the attackers. And Lester, a top security official in this country said that what happened in Paris could be just the start of a new wave of international level attacks by ISIS that could also target the United States. Lester?
Unsettling thought tonight. Richard Engel, thank you. We have a clearer picture of what is nothing short of a staggering loss of life in Paris. It's being marked at memorials like the one you're looking at here live. People, even in the wee hours of the morning, coming by, leaving their tributes and remembrances and reflecting on the terror that has visited their city. An American college student from California is among the 129 people now confirmed dead. At just 23 years old, she mirrors the young age of many of the victims, their lives ripped away by the unfeeling grip of terror. NBC's Erica Hill is in Paris tonight with some of their stories.
On the streets of Paris, an outpouring of anguish. Memorials popping up outside restaurants, where inside time stands still. 23-year-old Noemi Gonzalez, a junior at Cal State Long Beach, was studying design this semester in Paris and enjoying a Friday night out. Friends and family called her Mimi and said she'd worked for months to make her dream of studying abroad a reality.
This is really happening. This is happening. and there's nothing I can really do to bring her back.
Nick Alexander, described by his family as everyone's best friend, was working at the Bataclan Concert Hall. Known as Handsome Nick, he handled merchandising for bands on tour in Europe. 26-year-old lawyer Valentin Ribet was also at the concert. His firm described the young litigator as a wonderful personality around the office. Today, near that concert hall where so many were cut down, a tribute. As families frantically searched for the missing, many turned to social media, posting pictures and details of their last known location with the hashtag Recherche Paris, search Paris, with more than 1 million tweets in the past 24 hours. A haunting reminder of New York in the days after 9/11. At the city's famed Place de la République, reminders of January's Charlie Hebdo attack linger, now joined by new images of peace and resilience. For visiting Americans Ricky Stern and Alicia Southwell, it feels all too familiar.
You're both from cities and went through terror attacks yourselves in the United States. How does that impact how you're feeling tonight?
Well, I think we feel, tremendously sad that, this is the world that we're all going to be living in, but that it's so important that you don't let terrorists win, that you come out, you show solidarity.
There's a link with France, I think, today with all over the world, of course, because people are relating to the situation.
Tonight, the City of Light inspiring people across Europe to show their support. Candles in their windows, defying the darkness terrorists tried to spread.
And Lester, what we're looking at, one of these memorials, which you referenced just before that story, is outside of Le Carillon, which is a restaurant just across the street from the little Cambodia restaurant we've heard so much about. A car pulled up here Friday night. They jumped out, started shooting, and then made their way across the street to that other restaurant. In all, 14 people killed, 12 injured. The memorial has grown since we first came upon it earlier today, Lester, and you can imagine it will only continue to grow in the hours to come.
Erica Hill tonight, thank you. French officials scrambling to identify the intelligence gaps that failed to prevent Friday's carnage in Paris. It's yet another blow to the country's homeland security only 10 months after a separate attack on the satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. NBC's Keir Simmons spoke to intelligence officials.
Police raids less than 24 hours after the attacks in Belgium. Multiple arrests and search warrants executed today.
These operations are still ongoing as we speak.
In the hours after the massacre, the French looking for clues and reviewing their intelligence. We now know they had a security file on one of the killers. A former French prosecutor says they have been overwhelmed with people traveling to and from Syria.
We have a long experience. We have, all the structures. But right now we are facing a new phenomenon.
A French ISIS sympathizer who visited Syria was arrested in August for planning a similar attack, NBC News has learned. Another in Germany this month had a car loaded with explosives.
It's awful, and I'm afraid it's going to happen again, and it could well happen in other countries, including the United States.
Yesterday, it was Paris for a second time. The concert hall, scene of carnage last night, is just along that street. Less than half a mile further is the office of Charlie Hebdo, another attack the European security services failed to prevent. 12 died in the attack in Charlie Hebdo's newspaper office in January. Here too, the weapons included Kalashnikovs. Parisians shocked today.
We just didn't think that this could happen twice. Yeah.
It could have been 3 times. In August, a man wielded a Kalashnikov on a train to Paris, stopped only when members of the public, including 3 Americans, took him down. And that's tonight, a Greek security source tells NBC News they believe 2 men connected to the attack travelled through Greece, one in August, one in October. Europe already faces a huge refugee crisis. This will only heighten the concerns. Lester?
Keir Simmons tonight in Paris. Thank you. President Obama discussed the massacre today with his national security team ahead of the G20 summit in Turkey, where ISIS is expected to top the agenda. Many wondering now whether the attacks in Paris will be a game changer in the U.S. approach against the terror group. NBC News national correspondent Peter Alexander has more on the White House response.
Now en route to the G20 summit in Turkey, just a few hundred miles from ISIS's stronghold in Syria, President Obama faces an urgent dilemma. What's the U.S. response?
This is an attack not just on Paris, it's an attack not just on the people of France, but this is an attack on all of humanity.
After synchronized attacks across the capital of America's oldest ally, the president's under pressure to launch a more aggressive military assault against ISIS. Huddling privately with national security advisors at the White House today, President Obama's been reluctant to concede America's current strategy isn't working, speaking reassuringly just hours before Friday's attack about stalling the growth of ISIS on the ground in Iraq and Syria.
I don't think they're gaining strength. What is true is that from the start, our goal has been first to contain, and we have contained them.
Over the last year, guided by a president who vowed to end the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, the U.S. has been dragged deeper into the fight against ISIS. First, sending advisors to Iraq, then launching airstrikes in Syria, and just last month announcing up to 50 special forces would go to Syria to advise and, if needed, carry out dangerous raids like this one. Today in Vienna, Secretary of State John Kerry and other world leaders agreed to seek progress on establishing a ceasefire in war-torn Syria, trying to refocus on the shared goal of eliminating ISIS. If ISIS is responsible for the Paris attacks, a U.S. official says it would be a game changer. The world's most brutal terror group expanding the battlefield well beyond its borders. What will the president do? More involvement means more risk.
The difference between 10,000 or 20,000 troops in the region, that's a military option. That's not going to prevent things from happening like we've seen this week.
The White House says there is no specific or credible threat to the U.S. here at home. And tonight, officials here at the White House say President Obama still plans to attend international climate talks in Paris at the end of this month. Lester?
All right, Peter, thank you. ISIS has now claimed responsibility for 3 attacks overseas in the past 2 weeks. First, the Russian plane crash in Egypt, then the twin bombings in Beirut, and now the massacre in Paris, with France calling it an act of war. But militarily, what would it take to weaken or defeat ISIS? For more now, I'm joined by retired General Barry McCaffrey, a military analyst for NBC News. You saw him a moment ago. Airstrikes have had only limited effect, General. If France or the U.S. decide to take the gloves off, is there an effective military solution to defeating ISIS, and what would it look like?
Well, probably only a minor component of it, Lester. At the end of the day, it's the Customs and Border Protection, it's the FBI, and it's good intelligence. It's the primary way of securing the American people. You can't have security at every football game, every nightclub in America or Western Europe. Now, having said that, I think we have been micromanaging and having tremendous insecurities in our decision-making process to start direct operations by Special Operations Command, as well as U.S. Air Force and Naval Air Power against ISIS. Way too restrictive rules of engagement. A bunch of these aircraft come back to the carriers and the bases every night with their ordnance unexpended. And the whole notion of, for example, announcing 50 special operations or less was nonsense. We need to tell SOCOM, you're at war, go after them.
All right, General McCaffrey, good to have you here, sir. Thank you. When NBC Nightly News continues on this Saturday, an inside look at Homeland Security. Do the attacks in Paris leave us more vulnerable on American soil?
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to host The Tonight Show. There was Stevie the Sidekick, there was hashtag The Dancing Panda, and of course, the legendary Roots crew.
This week, Fallon's New with Kate Blanchett, Justin Bieber, and Jennifer Lawrence. It's The Tonight Show.
This is Black Friday.
Oh my God.
Does anybody want to be part of this?
No.
Well, Chevy has a better way with Black Friday deals all month long.
That's a great idea.
What if you could get up to 20% cash back when you bought it?
Bam!
20% back? Awesome.
It's Black Friday. Find your tag and get cash back for 20% of the MSRP on select 2015 vehicles in stock. That's over $4,100 on this Chevy Cruze.
Cool. Time to go shopping.
Quality, top-tier gas can help engine performance. I wonder what that's like.
Ricky, how does it feel to be a champion?
Can't take all the credit. This guy's performance on the road inspires me. He's the real MVP. We did it, man!
Arco, quality top-tier gas for less.
In its claim of responsibility for the deadly attacks in Paris, the Islamic State said any country that tries to fight its advance will become a target. That pointed threat raising new questions about our homeland security and if we are now more vulnerable. We get more from our justice correspondent, Pete Williams.
In New York City's crowded Times Square today, police deployed teams of heavily armed officers, a show of force meant to deter and reassure. In other big cities, police chiefs put out more officers and told them to be extra vigilant, echoing concerns of many. Could it happen here?
I think we would prepare ourselves as much as we can, but it's still a little scary.
They're so random. You can't plan your life around it, or else they're achieving what they want to achieve.
Extra security, too, where large crowds gather. The National Football League urges fans not to bring bags to Sunday's games, but if they must, only small, clear plastic ones.
There's more security at French government sites in the U.S., like the French embassy here in Washington, where people have been leaving flowers, showing their sympathy and support.
The FBI ordered agents to step up surveillance of terrorism suspects, with investigations already underway in every state. But many police officials say, as horrifying as the Paris attacks are, the big change in police strategy came in 2008 after the coordinated bomb and shooting attacks in Mumbai, India. Big city police officials say they now train for that kind of terrorism.
The NYPD has completely redesigned its tactical response to a multi-location active shooter case. This is not something that we started thinking about yesterday or the day before.
But Paris raises another big worry. Did the attackers communicate in a way that police cannot track? The FBI warns that ISIS recruiters are directing those who respond to their tweets to use popular applications that encrypt a message as it's sent and don't unscramble it until it's received, impossible for the government to monitor even with a warrant.
We cannot see what's being said between that ISIL recruiter and someone who would kill where they are. This is a big problem. It is an illustration of the problem that we call going dark.
Tonight, U.S. officials say they're urgently checking to see if any of the Paris attackers were in touch with people here. So far, they say no sign of that, and the FBI is sending a small team to Paris to help chase leads. Lester?
Pete, thank you. When we come back, symbols of solidarity, how the world has come together to honor a grieving Paris.
Comes down to Phoenix for a chance to qualify for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. Who will join Jeff Gordon in Miami? Tomorrow on NBC. Coverage begins on NBCSN. How NASCAR does playoffs.
At El Pollo Loco, we challenged our grill masters to create our tastiest bowls ever, like our fajita with peppers and onions, and our unwrapped whole wheat burrito with hand-sliced avocados and fresh pico. When grill masters are inspired, delicious things happen. New Grill Master Pollo Bowls at El Pollo Loco.
It's the Ortho Mattress Veterans Day sale, and it's only at Ortho Mattress. Our best-selling Ortho and Beauty Rest mattress sets are now 50% off. And visit any one of our over 65 locations and get 3 years no-interest financing. For a limited time, Ortho Mattress will pay the sales tax for you. And remember, Ortho Mattress has the biggest selection at the lowest price. It's the Ortho Mattress Veterans Day sale, and it's only at Ortho Mattress.
Good news, El Pollo Loco's 3-course family meal with fire-grilled chicken, sides, and churros now comes with handmade enchiladas. Better news, it's so much food, your leftovers will have leftovers. New $20 3-course family meal, El Pollo Loco, crazy you can taste.
You're looking at live pictures of a growing crowd outside the French consulate here in New York City. Just one show of solidarity this evening for Paris, echoing a sentiment of mourning shared tonight around the world. Here's NBC's Harry Smith.
In Paris today, a man pulls a piano behind a bicycle. He stops to play. He's just yards away from the music hall where so many died last night. The song, Imagine, by John Lennon. The grieving has begun as Parisians realize that what happened last night was no nightmare. Their hearts, our hearts, are broken. Lennon's song yearns for a day when the world will be as one, And in the hours after the attack, the world showed its solidarity with the French. A hockey game in Washington. The World Trade Center. From Dallas to San Francisco. From London to Canada. Shanghai to Sydney. The colors of the French flag burned bright. On Facebook, profile pages turned blue, white, and red too. Millions of postings praying for Paris, including Pope Francis. On a college football Saturday, Army made sure to respect America's first ally. It was the French, after all, who sent weapons and money and men to join America's revolution. And in USA Today, Lady Liberty looks ready to return the favor. This afternoon at Lincoln Center, Placido Domingo led the Metropolitan Opera's orchestra and chorus in the French national anthem. It gave us chills. Vive la France. Yes, long live France.
Compassion that knows no borders. Harry Smith will be right back.
No more games. I can't go to jail.
Sometimes the right decision isn't in the book.
Sweaters are this season's must-have fashion. At Ross, you'll find the latest styles at incredible savings. This sweater's more than $32 at department stores, but if you want it for less than $18, you gotta go to Ross.
Innocent lives caught in wild pursuits.
They had to amputate 75% of his arm.
Why victims are left chasing justice.
Why are they going to try to endanger somebody else's life?
NBC4 gets answers to chase or not to chase. Monday at 11 on NBC4.
The bigger, badder, bolder NBC4 I-Team. 3 powerful investigators fighting for you. Exposing ripoffs and cutting through red tape. NBC4, who said there's no I in team.
The perfect pair of shoes or boots can really make an outfit. At Ross, you'll find the latest styles for a fraction of what you'd pay at department stores. Why pay $89 for these boots when you can get them for less than $28? That's why you've got to go to Ross.
As shocking as the last 30 hours have been, the coordinated attacks, the slaughter of hostages, the bombs exploding outside the soccer match, it also feels so sadly familiar. Terror is the ultimate déjà vu. How many times have we seen it? The horrifying images, the portraits of innocent victims, the vows to bring the guilty to justice. All part of a familiar refrain, as familiar as the candles and messages of the ubiquitous makeshift memorials. Images like this could have been taken after the Charlie Hebdo attack in January or after any number of senseless massacres. But they represent the critical gathering places, the touchstones to humanity that we need to reconnect with the better part of us, the part that deeply yearns for peace, not violence, to prevail. And sometimes that elusive answer as to why comes in the form of a question, like one affixed to a bullet-shattered Paris restaurant window. In English, it asks, in the name of what? That'll do it for us on this Saturday night. I'm Lester Holt. Good night.
A telenovela is a soap opera. A telenovela is a soap opera with wardrobe malfunctions.
Rip away dress, rip away necklace, rip away hair.
I feel like a princess.
Eva Longoria returns to television.
Even the nuns are slutty here.
In telenovela.
The Wiz Live is sponsored locally on NBC by World Vision.
For the NBC Wiz Live, you are Dorothy.
When I got the news, I was just like, oh my gosh.
An all-star cast. Queen Latifah, Mary J. Blige, Neo, David Allen Greer in The Wiz. Live December 3rd on NBC.
The Wiz Live on NBC is sponsored locally by World Vision. This Christmas, World Vision invites you to share big dreams with children. Learn how you can share at worldvision.org.
With the help of Comfort Keepers, I'm keeping my mom healthy.
I'm keeping Dad on schedule.
I'm keeping my mom happy. Comfort Keepers in-home professional caregivers can provide meal planning and preparation, health and wellness services, and personal care services through custom care plans that can change as needs change, so your aging loved ones can stay happy and healthy